Hi, everyone, and welcome. And I'm out on my front deck, so hopefully you can see me because I don't have professional lighting. I don't have professional lighting, anyways. My name is Mary Jo Tracy, and I'm a spiritual love of life coach and an astrologer. So, coming to you with the 411 of the Cosmic Highway and bringing in a little bit of my own opinions along the way. Today, the Cosmic Highway, well, we have that moon in Virgo. So it's just, let's get organized. Let's get things done. Mars and Venus coming together. And, Mars is snuggling up to his little Venus and saying, hey, baby, what do you want? And it's all about planning. It's planning the big day, planning what you want to do. It's like the big event. And with that, it's coming in with Pluto and Neptune. So it's like I see them on either side of me, Pluto over there, Neptune over there, and coming in with a little bit of info on things and, coming in with that truth. So we have this, it's a nice flowing day. It's about finding our truth and about planning the big day. And just think of all what entails when you're planning something and when you're going to be planning a big day or a function, right? All the minor details from the colors to the flowers to what kind of drinks, what kind of food, what kind of, how many people do you want there? Who do you want? Who do you want? Right? So it is a planning day. It's an interesting day. And it's we do have a little bit with, Pallas Athena comes in and she has a little bit of falling out because she runs into her old boy, was it Cornelius? I mean, he kind of messed up. Like, yeah, he did mess around, and you don't mess around on a warrior. She kind of has an attitude. It's kind of like that woman that is like, okay, I'm in love with you. I'm putting all my energy into you, but you mess up, you're done, buddy. So you might be having a little bit of run-in with, maybe some people that you don't really want to run in with. And, kind of had a falling out with. So there's things that maybe you have to review or look at what you have to let go of with that relationship and what you have to let go of in order to go forward, because it could make a little bit of awkwardness for you. And instead of saying, you know what, nice, hi, how are you? And then walk away from there. So there's that's going on. So it's causing a little bit of kerfuffle. That's a good word, kerfuffle, in the cosmic skies today. And Mars and Venus, they're just like in their little love nest, and they're just like, yeah, I'm fine. And Venus is like, oh, well, as long as you're here, I don't mind being in Leo. So it's all coming from the heart. And they won't meet up again until they're in Capricorn, and then Venus is retrograde. So that arrangement may not be very good, because she's going to be really deciding exactly about her foundation and the relationships that she does and doesn't want. So especially when Venus goes retrograde, I find the whole world goes retrograde. Last year it was in Gemini that she met, and there was a lot that went on when she went. I mean, some pretty heavy retrogrades last year with Mars and Venus and all our personal planets going retrograde. Is really, it hits the heart chakra. It hits home. And right now, Venus is good, and we're coming into that beautiful quarter moon and that crescent moon and that energy, so we can enter into that Venus portal, and that Venus portal of bringing in the love and transformation that we are looking for in our life. So, I mean, I love that. And I'm just learning about this Venus portal, and I've really felt energy from Venus a lot. And especially since she did her the eclipse in 2012, and that was, I mean, we're not going to see that ever again in our lifetime, not for another 150 some odd years. So well, unless maybe we will, depending, you never know what Elon Musk is doing. And I was looking at going off on a tangent, saw on tattooing, and how tattooing can help to for different things. So now they're looking at different tattoos that you could put on and it regulates your blood. It regulates maybe the heat in your body. So if it's really hot, it'll regulate your body to cool down. Medications, you can get it to regulate the medications on it, and you can get them fancily done. You can get some, in really fancy gold and silver and stuff. So that is very, interesting. And that's very much Saturn and Aquarius and the Aquarius energy coming forth, because the last time, while Uranus was in Aquarius and Saturn was there, I mean, the internet showed up. I mean, we all were on the internet in 1997. Not that it wasn't there before, but going back, bring me back to Earth and to this time. There's a lot of, cosmic energy about feeling good. So staying in our truth. So on that note, that brings me into another segue on staying into our truth. That's disturbing. It's well, we'll get back to that's not disturbing, because I got some other disturbing news. Just watched Pixel came out with this new show, and this is okay. I try and be neutral. I try and not to be so observant, but I'm the person who notices those little tiny things that maybe other people don't notice. When they take certain things out of a movie, and I can see those things, or I pick them up, and or they changed a scene in a movie, and they took, they sort of took a little piece out of it, or a badge or something. And I've been noticing that a lot lately with certain, especially older ones, with movies. But what I have noticed, and especially since I have a grandson who's 6 years old, is watching the movies and the information that's coming through the movies, which is interesting. And they're all Asian based. There's something to do with Asia or something, even though that they're trying not to make the people look Asian, but there's something to do with China, or something to do with Chinese history. And I've been noticing that a lot, especially through a lot of the shows that he's been watching through Netflix. And I'm not, whether it's good or bad, I'm just coming in as an observer. Now, this new one called Red Panda is about a little teenage girl who turns into a red panda when she gets frustrated or mad. And go figure, she's Asian. And it's just an interesting concept, since we are having problems. Well, maybe not problems, but having, an interesting new outlet on China, and how much China is influencing the world. And, same with America. America did the same thing. They did a huge influence. Everybody, Coca-Cola, the whole thing with Coke. Coke did a whole thing in the 70s where you could get a T-shirt and Coca-Cola was written in different languages. And so you could wear a T-shirt with Coca-Cola on it written in different languages. So Coke was sort of the icon of America. McDonald's, the icon of America, and the influence. And you can go anywhere practically and find a McDonald's, right? And so you see these influence, you see cultures coming in and making an influence, and they do it through movies, and they do it through their form of propaganda. Now, when you start seeing it, especially when it's a country that is a communist country, a country that does have a lot of abuse, and I know we all do, all countries do. Yes, I know. Okay, take a chill pill, everybody. But when you see it more so, or you hear it more so, when you know that in their places to build things, it has to do with a lot of, people don't have rights. You have a social credit system. Now you're seeing within the films that you are watching, and the influences that are coming through are from China. It's not from Japan. It's not from Taiwan. It's not from Thailand or anywhere else. It's from China. I personally get a little concerned about it because for me, I'm seeing, because I'm also watching the astrology, and I'm seeing this social regime wanting to have more of an influence because it sounds good. It sounds good. And this is where Pluto comes in and coming in with your truth. It sounds good. It sounds good. Yes, we in Canada have a health system that is, well, I wouldn't say it's free. We do pay for it through our taxes. So we do have a health system that we can go into, and we don't really have to worry about to get a CAT scan and things like that. If we break our arm or things like that, you know, they will see us, they'll put a cast on us and the whole bit. They're not going to hold you ransom. Yet on the flip side, where we're coming into where how much control do you want over there? And when I see different influences coming in, and it just seems norm, where it's okay for this influence to come in. And the reason I'm bringing it up is that a lot of your old music, like anything from the Beach Boys and so anything Sony produced, is all owned by China now. Tom Cruise's movie, the one when he was a pilot, they had him take off certain. They in the movie now, if you got the original and you watch the new ones, a lot of the patches that he wears, because he had, I think, the Korean flag. He's not allowed to. They took that off of his uniform. So different things are coming in, and they're slight, and you don't notice them. That's the thing. The thing is that energies are coming in, and they're coming in slight. And it's for us to come in and to be able to tune in to say, hey, something's not right here. It doesn't feel good to me. Why doesn't it feel good? I'm not too sure, but I don't want to do that. It's not, it doesn't feel like a good idea for me at this time. This is where coming in and trusting your intuition is very important. And we're seeing it. We're seeing that people are just taking offense over another one. And I know this might trigger people, is white people selling sage. And I'm going to tell anybody, because I used to sell sage. And I told a woman once, and I told her to fuck off. Because I bought my sage from people who are growing it, and that's their business. And so happens that they're native. So that is their business, and teaching people how to use sage. But now if you use it, then you're misappropriating their culture. This is where the world is coming in, and we are becoming smaller. We are connected. But when people start to sort of hoard, and this is when I'm going back to the Chinese thing. When people start to hoard things and say, this is just mine, it causes division. And this is where we're looking at, is that we don't want to have those divisions, right? So it's a very fine line that we are walking at this time. I do Kundalini yoga. It's from India. I do it every single day. I do yoga. It's from India. If you do yoga, are you misappropriating them by doing yoga? If you do mantras, are you misappropriating the energies of Yogi Bhaji? Yeah, they want to keep it sacred. But if I want to keep, what about people who use yoga? What about people who use mantras? That's sacred. That's sacred. That's Sanskrit. It's one of the original languages. We're not saying it's not sacred. Anybody who buys sage or buys sweetgrass, they're wanting to know, they're wanting to incorporate that into their life and make it sacred. And that's the thing, is that they're not the only culture that has it. The reason why I learned Lomi Lomi was because Auntie Margaret, who is a Hawaiian, knew that their culture is dying and that it has to go out and spread to keep it alive. And learning how to do the Lomi Lomi, learning what it meant to do the Lomi Lomi, learning Hawaiian, learning the hula is a very sacred dance of the warriors. and learning the movements of it and what it means is bringing in that sacredness. And when people start looking at, well, because you're this color, you can't use that, then we're coming into a very fine segregation culture and saying, you stand over here because you're color, you can only do this because you're this, you can only do this, then you're this. In the 1960s, if you're black, you can only use this fountain. If you're white, you can only use this fountain, because we want to make you feel comfortable in what you're doing. It's a fine line that we are coming into. And you won't teach you the real shamanism energy that's being passed down. Oh, I did learn the real. I learned it. You still learn it. You're still, the thing is that we've lived more than one life. We lived, if you're being called to learn the Hawaiian or learn Huna and come into that Huna energy, you probably have had past lives in that. So you are recreating a lot that is within your cellular membrane and your DNA, and you're bringing it out. When people start freaking out because I'm selling sage or they're selling sage and you can't sell sage, only I can sell sage and only I can use this. And I'm just using sage as an example. Then I can go and say, you can't use this because it belongs to India. And I'm going to bring in the mantras. You can't do mantras because you're not from India. You're not a yogi. You didn't study this. You're taking away our sacredness. So this is where we have to come in with the connection. I'm going to go back to the films on how the filming industry is now becoming very Chinese and very influential upon our own children and their culture. Is like, I think we need to come into this energy. Yes, we have respect for it, and have respect for it. Definitely. Like, I don't sell sage anymore. It depends on the person. If I wanted to learn yoga, I'd go to India to learn. Fabulous. But do you have to go to India to learn? No. Yogi Bhaji left India to come to San Francisco in the 60s to teach people Kundalini. He did that because he knew the next yogis were the white people to carry this on. And he knew that this was coming in and this is going to create a whole new energy. And he trusted his guides. Auntie Margaret knew from her guides saying this has to be taught out. Ted Andrews took a medicine wheel and he was at a conference with many other shamans from around the world. And he threw the medicine wheel and says, who belongs to this medicine wheel? What culture belongs to this? And they all rose their hand because they all use a medicine wheel. From the Celts, Stonehenge, sacred wheel, to the Africans, to the Inuit, to the Peruvians. And they all used the red and the black and the yellow and the red. We're all connected. We may use it in different ways. My grandmother came over from England and she would put lavender and sage into my seams. She's from England. She didn't know anything about Indian. She didn't know anything about that. But she knew that was a protection. She knew it was a protection. And I come from an Irish English background. She didn't study shamanism. She didn't study anything. She just brought what she knew. My husband's mother, she's from India. She used sage in Trinidad. She was Indian white. She used to go and pick the sacred herbs and make her stuff for cooling the blood for people. And she used to do this because it was what she knew. Her mother taught her, and she had a white grandmother from India. are from England teaching her too. So when we start saying, this is only mine, instead of saying, hey, do you want to learn about this? Let's come in and learn about this. And let's connect. And let's not take away. We're not taking away. We're wanting to integrate. We're wanting to come together. But when people want to segregate and they want to put this one, and you can't do that, and you're a minority because you have white in you, you can't learn that. Then we're like, whoa, we're coming into a whole different energy. We're coming into an energy that is not inclusive, it's exclusive. It's private, and only I know about this. And you can't use it because you're too white, or you're too this, or you're too that. This is coming in when the energies is coming in with this truth and saying, we have to come together in a way that brings us together. We have to come together and really start to listen to our intuition and watch where our ego's coming in, our lower ego, not our higher ego, but our lower ego, in order for us to make very good information. And this, when I see that, and I didn't even comment on I wasn't even going to get into a conversation with that. I just like, oh my God. Spirit is everything. Spirit is everything. Spirit is connection. So who owns spirit? Who owns spirit? Nobody owns spirit. But people are wanting to harness that and say, it's only mine. It's mine, precious. And that's not the lessons that are coming in. The lessons are coming in for us to come together and not come apart. Our lessons are coming in to say, we have to teach the connection. We have to teach meditation and connection and oneness with one another, and coming from the heart, dropping from the head to the heart, coming from the heart to the head, coming in and connecting this energy. So we don't come in and start saying, you can't do this because you're this. That's the same thing that they did to segregate the blacks and the whites in the South. You can't do this because you're this or you're that. It might seem different, but is it? It's a segregation. And one of the things I've said since the beginning, we have to be careful because segregation is coming in, and it's coming in very quickly. And in order for us to come together, we got to find the similarities. And we got to come in with the harmony. I use sage. Will I stop using sage? No. I use sweetgrass. Will I stop using sweetgrass? No. I use lavender. I use all of that. And I used it even before I was trained by a shaman. The sacredness is there, and understanding the sacredness, yes. And nobody's saying no about that. But when somebody's saying you can't learn this or you can't use this, that's where my back goes up. And I want to say, why? Because I'm white? That's not where we want to go. That's not where we want to go. We want to come together and move together in truth, in love. And it's a long process that we have to do. It's a long process. And right now, I see more people that do want to come together than don't. And that's where the harmony is. So coming together is important. Coming together in harmony is important. And when people want to sit on one side of the fence and say, no, because you can't use that, you're not using the sacredness, yet I see others that are coming in that are bringing in the sacredness. That's like when people say, I can't do my voodoo and hoodoo because I'm white. Really? I bring in that sacredness. I bring in the sacredness of those goddesses and understanding that energy of the goddess. The goddess knows me and I know the goddess. Asking for respect is one thing. Yes. Telling people you can't is not asking for respect. That's being an asshole to me. Asking for respect, or if you're purchasing it or wherever they're purchasing it, even because most of the places that do sell anything like that are usually from native families who are native corporations who are actually, that's where the people are getting it from. So if you look at most packaging, it's packaging that they've purchased from natives. And yeah, as Mike says, spirit has no sides. Spirit has no sides. It's understanding and just being respectful. Definitely being respectful. Nobody says not to be respectful. But this is coming into a fine line of listening to your intuition. And when we start to listen to our intuition, and it comes in different ways, and yesterday we were talking about the clairaudient, it is allowing ourselves to be able to see things that don't feel right. Like a lot of the shows that my grandson's watching, they're not bad, but it's interesting to see how that's coming through and coming in, right? And seeing how that influence is coming in with what he's doing. And this is where I come in and I watch and I see those things and pick up on where that energy is coming in. And the energy is coming in with a lot of frustration and a lot of hate and a lot of misdirection. And I've talked to I've talked to many shamans, and they were fine with it. And some of the shamans some of my shamans are passed away now. They've transcended to the other side, but who've done this, who've done the work. And this is what we're coming towards. We're coming towards a new world, a new way of looking at this world, and a world that is going to be becoming a lot smaller than what we think. And borders are going to be changing, and new divisions are going to come in. And this is where coming together in solidarity and coming together in a place where we can communicate with one another is important. And listening to our intuition is important. So important. Because we're coming into a place where we're going to receive information maybe in different ways. And for me, one of my things is my clairaudience, where I can hear things and even hear the fairies or hear the trees talk and hear the plants talk. When you start working with plants, especially plants, when I picked up my tomato plant the other day, I was driving by, and it was as if the plant said, "Hey, can you come by me?" And it was like I pulled and I parked and I went and bought the plant. Plants talk. When you start working with the energies of a plant, they're going to talk to you, but the plant doesn't see you as one color or another color. They just see you as energy. They see you as a vibration. And picking up on that vibration and hearing, and it comes in maybe not so much as an outside voice, but it might be an inside coming in from your third eye. With the clairaudience, it can begin with some people hear a ringing sound, vibrational, buzzing sensation in their head or ears. This is extrasensory hearing, tuning into a frequency of source. And we may also hear words, phrases, songs, names. Like sometimes you might hear a song and it hasn't even been written yet. This is where you hear things like you just know, like this energy comes in. And sometimes it can be a sensation and make you feel very uncomfortable. And that's where when I was watching those shows with my grandson or some of the news, they're making me uncomfortable. And I had to sit back and ask myself why. I have to be observant to it and look at it in a very objective view, and which is important. Where, yes, I understand, people want to be passionate and for selling things or not selling things. That's fine, right? But I can feel the vibration, even some of the vibrations from the plants that are wanting to be utilized and wanting to be coming. Could you imagine if everybody saged? Oh my God. Could you imagine a CEO of a corporation telling everybody in the day, okay, guys, use your spray, use your sage. Let's cleanse this area. Or a hospital would go in there and do a whole cleansing. That would be absolutely fabulous. Could you imagine? Our buildings would feel so much energy and so in alignment. This clairaudience can comfortably grow as we learn and trust and flow. So our clairaudience is there, and remembering the voice of the soul brings a sense of expansion. So when we hear it, it brings in something that is expanding us. It is allowing us to grow. Well, the voice of the ego will constrict us and not want us to grow. And when we center ourselves in present moment, if we ask our soul questions, the first voice we hear will be our inner being, and our second reply will often be a discrediting one. My grandmother always said, whatever your first is, listen to it. Whatever the answer is, that's your first. Don't second guess it. So when I ask people, when I do a reading and they're talking about their lover and they're talking about this person, and I say, do you love them? And they're like, no, there's no. There's no. You love them or you don't love them. There's no. And that's where it's at. Oh, you picked wild sage while camping? Yummy. Yummy. Oh, yes. And make sure you dry it out really nice, because sometimes there's a lot of water. They hold a lot of water. So beautiful, wonderful. And you could just make lovely bouquets with them. Add some lavender in with that. It'd be so yummy. Think of how many vibes would be raised in the workplace. Oh my goodness. People being cleansed, uplifted, thinking clearly. Or this is where this, and coming in, but when we're listening to our first voice, our first inner voice, when we hear that, that's telling you this is the direction. And when people ask me and they say, do you love Steve? Yes, I love him. Would I want to be with anybody else? No. But there are times, and I will admit, that maybe I want to be in a different room than he's in. But do I love him? Yes, with all my heart and soul. I do. And aggravation, frustration, and everything else comes into it. Yes. But the love's always first. And that's a feeling or a sensation I just knew. And this is, granted, this is frustrating, but just to being aware, it can also transcend self-doubt. So with practice, you easily begin to distinguish what's the truth and what's a distraction from your truth. The more you start coming into your alignment and asking your soul questions, picking things up, is this the right direction I should be going into? And putting your hand on your heart to get the answer. You can put your hand there. You can put your right hand on there, or your left hand, whichever feels right for you. And putting there, and put the other hand on your heart, just below your belly button. Just below your button there, and just put your hand there, and you're going to get answers. You may not get it right away, but you'll get an answer. And I'm a big one to put things on your heart when you're asking big questions. And sometimes your body will move. Your body will be a pendulum, and it'll move back and forth. So when I was looking at this new Pixel show, and I felt weird about it, and so I did. I asked. I said, should I be concerned about this movie? I said, not really. Not really. Not really concerned. Just be aware. So it's not really, but just be aware. The message in it is good, but just to be aware of what it is. So when we talk about the clairaudient, you're a good listener and can get to know a person just by listening to them. So taking that time to listen to hear. Yes, little neighbor.
Something from Maine, we want to give it to you.
Oh, okay. That's fine. I'm just in a class right now. Okay? All right? But thank you.
You're welcome.
He found his whistle. So the clairaudient. So a good listener can get to know the person just by listening, as well as finding communication points, music, pitch, tone, vibration. Sometimes when you're really getting into that clairaudience, you'll find that noises start to bother you. Like you really start to find different vibrations really start to annoy you, whatever it is. So you start to feel where you're in something and it's just the pitch is wrong or the feeling of the vibration is wrong and it's off. So you might be feeling that too when you get the clairaudience. So be aware of that because you might become more sensitive to that energy. And when you read, you whisper or hear the written words. So you may talk to yourself and your spirit guides often. So you might be the person who talks to themselves a lot. And that's okay, right? And hearing melodies or songs in your consciousness as an intuitive guide. So trusting those energies, you might be hearing something that comes along and trusting what you are hearing there. When we're developing it, feel centered, draw to your third eye, put your hands on your heart. This is where you take time and maybe even write things out. And you can write a question out. And this is a really good thing to help you to trust. Write things out. Write the question out in your prominent hand. Put the pen in your non-prominent hand and write out the answer. So if you are talking to a spirit, let's say you want to speak to I'm going to bring in Callie because I just feel like she just came in. The goddess of chaos came in, and you want to ask her something, and you want to be able and say you're feeling very muddled and you're overwhelmed. So this would be a fine thing to do if you're feeling very muddled. You just write out the question. You can call in Kelly. You can call in whoever feels rightly aligned to you. It could be Athena. It could be Venus. It could be whoever. And then put it in the other hand and write out the answer. That's going to help you to feel that groundedness. It's going to help you to feel more because you're switching from side to side. Switching from side to side. And sometimes when you bring your palms over your ears, just hovering them, kind of like a seashell. And remember, when you inhale, that you got this remember that little energy that we did yesterday in opening up our third eye and then coming out and making our beautiful unicorn horn? We're bringing that energy in and allowing for that spiraling, that infinity, and that connection to our purest love. So this is the energy we want to start to utilize when we are wanting to connect, when we feel sort of at odds with something and it doesn't feel right, and we want to put it to our heart and right, or take our time and listen to the trees, or sit under a tree and talk to a tree. I mean, this is where you're going to be. You could hear a little nudge. I remember one time we were walking with the kids, and I said to the kids, I said, "Oh, this tree is so sad." And they're like, "Well, how do you know it's sad?" I said, I don't know. It just feels sad. I said, so I made my kids touch the tree. And they were touching the tree. And as they were touching the tree, they could feel the sadness of the tree. They could feel that. So this is where, when we're coming in and we're working with this energy, is that we will hear this. And your palms together at your heart center, connecting to the sound, connecting to that, and giving thanks. And drinking loads of water. water is really important. So drinking lots of water to help you ground. And repeating this and working with this is going to help you to really be able to hear more intently, more wholly, and be able to be more in alignment with what your guidance are telling you, especially with the energies and with the finger of God pointing towards Mars and Venus. There, it's really showing us that this is our internal guides. This is our balance between the masculine and the feminine and stuff. So coming into that balance of the masculine and the feminine. And as it goes out on the 180 degrees, right, goes out, and there's a 60-degree arch in between the two, it's getting us to really look at the truth and what the truth is with our dreams, and what that is within our dreams that we are trying to bring into our personal life, and the walk that we are taking and coming upon that walk. So this is aligning ourselves and listening to our spirit, listening to our soul and our soul's guidance. And then our soul's guidance reaches out to our spirit self. So this is our step. This is our journey that we're on. And when the finger of God comes in, it's pointing at ourselves, and it's pointing at our true selves in order for us to be more attentive in all that we do and all that we say and all that we be. And as I say, some people don't agree with what I say, which is fine. And I love it when people don't agree with me and bring in and let themselves express, because your expression and your truth is valid, and it's very valid, and it needs to be heard just as much as mine needs to be heard. And although my Irish will get up, but that's fine, let it get up. But coming into our sacredness is important. Coming into our connection is important. And as we come into our connection and working, little ant. How does an ant get there? Like, I don't know. That's just life's mysteries. Coming into our alignment, I get OCD. Not OCD, I just get shiny object syndrome, SOS. Like, what? How did that get there? Coming into our truth and our alignment is so important, and honoring all of that. So for all of you, I want you to honor yourself today. Take some time and listen and tune in, connect with nature, hearing the tones near you, and then opening your hearts to more distant sounds. Like, take a moment and just sit in silence and closing your eyes, and you just take a moment, just put your hands here on your heart, or you could just lay them in your lap and begin to connect with what you can hear. What's close by, and then move a little ways out. And you can move out farther than that. So I start with the birds. I can hear the birds. I can hear the traffic. And then you can move out. So take some time. So in doing that, I have to go water your flowers. Go water your flowers. They're calling you, Tessa. They're saying, you forgot about me. Give me some water before it get hot. And repeat these exercises. Meditate on your awareness and your expansions naturally. Allow yourself to, focus on yourself, your chair, feeling the energies around you, and expand it. Allow yourself to expand and then pull it back in and pull it back out. So allow yourself to do these expansions and connecting. And don't weigh yourself down by self-judgment. And it's naturally clear away falseness and bring home your truth. And that's where we're in. We want to bring in our truth. We don't, if there is anything that's feeling out of your alignment and you don't feel right about it, then fine. You don't feel right about it. Honor it. Honor where you are. So, and where it's at. Allow yourself to break free, baby. Break free and do and shake and move your body the way you need to move your body. So, everyone, have a fabulous day, and may the Lord and the Lady watch over and bless you in all that you say and all that you be and all that you do. If you are wanting to book in some coaching sessions, definitely get a hold of me or go to thegurumama.com and like and subscribe on my YouTube page. Yes, because we want to get them up. We want to get them up. So have a blessed one, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.